2024 is about to be the biggest year in professional wrestling history. Not only do you have the two biggest companies in the world in AEW and WWE putting on outstanding shows, you also have GCW, MLW, and the return of TNA bolstering the secondary market for professional wrestling in North America, and on top of that, a rise in popularity in both New Japan and All Japan Pro Wrestling, both of whom have signed deals to partner with AEW and WWE respectively. But that's not the reason that 2024 is going to be such an unpredictable and fun year for professional wrestling fans. The reason that 2024 is going to be amazing is because there are so many free agents that are set to hit the open market later this year. Just to name a few, you have former TNA champion Rich Swann, former AEW stars like Andrade, QT Marshall, and then of course current AEW stars like Dustin Rhodes, the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, and allegedly, if you believe him, MJF. And then when you go over to WWE, it gets even more interesting with Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Jinder Mahal, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods all having their contracts reportedly up in 2024. And the cherry on top of all of this is, of course, Mercedes Moné, who at the time of this recording is a free agent and has yet to appear for any wrestling company. So needless to say, there are a lot of dominoes that have yet to fall in 2024. But I do believe the biggest one is Mercedes Moné. Once she signs with whoever she's going to sign with, and as of right now, the indication is that she's going to go to AEW, I think you're going to see the free agent market as a whole really get more interesting, because it's going to put pressure on whatever company doesn't get Mercedes Moné to really go out there, spend money, and do whatever it takes to get that next big name. And when you think about the people that I mentioned, we are talking about a lot of former world champions, former main events of WrestleMania. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, the fact that their contracts are up and they could, in theory, get offers from AEW, it's an insane thing to think about, because this wouldn't have been possible just a few years ago. Yet, right now, as it stands, AEW and Tony Khan have reported that they are going to be very aggressive in this free agent market, which means we could be in for some insane moments, returns, and debuts in 2024. And that's what makes professional wrestling so exciting. Think about back in the 1990s and the early 2000s when professional wrestling was at its height. One of the big reasons that wrestling was so hot and popular, you didn't know who was going to show up where, when they were going to show up, and what the hell they were going to do when they got there. And when you think about the moments that are possible for both wrestling companies and the things that we didn't think were going to happen, no one ever could have predicted that Becky Lynch, when she got as big as she did, no one could have ever predicted that she would go to another wrestling company. The same goes with Seth Rollins. Hell, the same goes for people in AEW like Dustin Rhodes. Everyone believes that Dustin Rhodes was a lifer in AEW when he first signed, and now with Cody being in WWE, it opens the door for Dustin to go over there and potentially even do an angle with his brother. And we haven't even mentioned someone like Kazuchika Okada yet, who, when he signs wherever he does, is going to make a statement. Because Kazuchika Okada, for those who don't know, is essentially the John Cena of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was Mr. New Japan Pro Wrestling, carrying the company for the past decade as their biggest star, having some of the biggest matches with the likes of Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi, etc. Whether you're WWE or AEW, getting a star like Kazuchika Okada not only helps you with your television because you're going to be able to tell good stories, have great matches with one of the best wrestlers in the world, but on top of that, you're going to be able to make inroads, especially if you're WWE and you want to get NXT Japan off the ground. You'll be able to make the inroads into that business, that market with their biggest star. And we know and have heard reports and rumblings that WWE wanted to be aggressive in signing Japanese talent, and Okada could be arguably their biggest signing of the year. All that to say, the unpredictability, the potential for storytelling, the potential for dream matches that we didn't think were possible or we couldn't even imagine given the realities of professional wrestling make 2024 exciting, make 2024 unfathomable, and make it a must-watch year in professional wrestling.